It's up for grabs now!
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira!
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it!
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Champions.
What put in there? That's much better than last time. Nice stuff, Shaheen. I'll have to look at that again at some point. Welcome to the Arsenal Lounge. Good evening, everyone. Fellow loungers and whatever we're going to call you guys. Thanks for joining us. There's lots to talk about. I'm sure everyone knows what's happening out there at the moment. And probably I feel a little bit sorry for Turkish because he's been talking about it all day. But hopefully we can give him a different angle. But thanks for joining us, as I say, as my fellow co-host, Shaheen. Turkish, we all know, doesn't really need much of an introduction. Just wanted to, before we start, you might have noticed last week we weren't on. We chose not to come on out of respect for a couple of our resident guests. Lee Judges, he's lost a family member very close to him, his father, in fact. And Graham lost his mother, Graham Brooks. So we just wanted to say our condolences to them. Our thoughts are out to you and your family at this time. And look, you know, if you need anything, we're here and hope to hear from you soon. So that's why you haven't seen us sort of over the last week or so. But anyway, moving on, guys. There's lots to discuss. I thought we'd start with the hot topic of the evening or the day, Ozil. Obviously, we all know he's made a statement. I was going to look at it. I'm sure, as I said, probably Turkish knows this off by heart now. But firstly, I wanted to look at his statement that he sort of put out today during the middle of the day. So I'm going to read it out. I think Shaheen's got it as well. So what he put on here, this is difficult message to write to Arsenal fans that I've played for over the past few years. I'm deeply disappointed by the fact that I have not been registered for the Premier League season for the time being. Upon signing my new contract in 2018, I pledged my loyalty and allegiance to the club that I love, Arsenal, and it saddens me that this has not been reciprocated. As I have just found out, loyalty is hard to come by nowadays. I've always tried to remain positive from week to week, that there may be a chance to get back in the squad soon. That's why I kept silent so far. So, I mean, I don't really want to go into the other bits of it, but he has gone into sort of before the coronavirus, the development under Mikel Arteta, but this is the point I really like. Well, not like, but I think is interesting. What else can I say? London still feels like home. Still have many good friends in this team. I still feel a strong connection with the fans of this club. No matter what, I will keep fighting for my chance and not let my 8th season at Arsenal end like this. I can promise you that this hard decision won't change anything in my mindset. I will continue to train as best as I can and wherever possible use my voice against inhumanity and for justice. So some deep words there from Mesut Ozil. There's really divided opinions. I mean, I know that we put out a poll earlier on today with regards to how we felt, fan base felt he was treated. It ended up with a result with 59 saying they didn't like the way he was treated, 59%, and 40% saying, yes, they felt he was treated fairly. So I've got my own opinions on this. I'm sure everyone in there has as well. Ken Ogbodo, I think that's your name. Where is Lee Judges? I'll get back to that later on. But looking at the Ozil situation, firstly, your thoughts, guys. I'll put this out to Turkish first. We've been talking about it all day long. What's your thoughts on it?
I think it's just another chess move, man. It's a long-running game that the club are playing, and Ozil's playing the same game. I think it's just another chess move because as much as he says, this is why I've stayed silent so far, he didn't really say much else after that sentence. It's like, well, after that sentence, you told us things changed, but surely that's what you should be telling us changed. If you've kept silent for so long, tell us what changed, not that things changed. We can see things changed. Yeah. You know, it's plain to see, but tell us why. You know, so it's another cleverly worded chess move.
Okay.
It's not a surprise that he's been left out of the squad. I mean, after he was left out of the Europa League squad, if people thought he was going to make the Premier League squad, they'd be fooling themselves, because if you're not going to make the Europa League squad, you're not making the Premier League squad. You know, we could see this one coming from that moment, if not the summer. You know, we can't fool ourselves to think Ozil didn't know that he wasn't going to start the season. He knew. but he decided to dig his heels in and stay. And he had this chess move in his back pocket. He knew that it was going to come. It came, and then now he's ready, and he attacked back. And it's just a shame that it's us yet again. You know, the mismanagement up above and the problems creeping through. It's just a shame it's us again, because we need to move on from all of these things, but we seem to be dragged back into it all the time. And it's just another occurrence because the transfer window's done, the season started. We've started well. Obviously, in a couple of big games, people might look at the approach and understand why I was looking down at the transfer window so much. But now the focus is Ozil again. How can it be Mesut Ozil again after he's played maybe like 6-7 games in the whole year? Like, we need to move on.
Okay, all right. Shaheen, obviously, look, there's a big difference between the player as a footballer and the politics. We'll touch on that in a bit, but what's your thoughts on what you've seen so far?
Well, first of all, I would just want to follow on from what you said, and offer my condolences to Lee and Graham as well, and we hope to have them back very soon. Also, our thoughts and prayers with everybody who's been affected in Nigeria with everything that has been happening, and
Yeah,
you know, people losing lives like that is never acceptable, and I hope the right attention will be shed on it. In terms of Mesut Ozil, I'm very disappointed in Arsenal because they don't normally do their dirty laundries in public per se, and it's become a very public an issue. And Ozil coming out with a statement, and it doesn't look good on the club because this should have been handled a lot better. It should never have come to this. We offered this guy a contract. We, as a club, offered him the contract. He didn't give it to himself. He signed it, and he wants to sit on his contract now and see it out. I don't like the way we treat him, regardless of what goes on. I see a lot of people on Twitter saying it's not Mesut Ozil Football Club, it's Arsenal Football Club. But Ozil is part of Arsenal Football Club. So if you're supporting Arsenal Football Club, everything that comes with the club is included. You can't.
Have we lost Shaheen?
Looks like it.
Either that or he's very good
Pick and choose.
staying still. Oh, there he is.
Oh, right,
Sorry,
right.
Shaheen, we lost you there for a minute. Yeah,
so
I don't know what happened there to you.
Yeah.
All right, listen.
This is obviously not a football-related issue because if Mesut Ozil is not good enough to get into the Arsenal team, he's not doing what is required, then so is Hector Bellerin, Luis Chambers, Holding, Xhaka to a certain degree, Willian to a certain degree. So we can't say Ozil is not good enough to get into the team, but then Bellerin is starting week in, week out, which is something obviously we'll touch on later. So for me, this is obviously nothing to do with football. I think it's to do with the comments that he made about what was going on in China and the fact that he refused to take a pay cut combined together. And unfortunately, we're giving him this treatment. So that's my thoughts on it.
Okay. Right. Well, look, I mean, I've been looking at some of the tweets that have been coming out. Obviously, Piers Morgan's thrown his thing in about he should have let this, that, and the other. And then I think Gary Lineker's come back and said it wasn't that easy as a player. If you've got a contract, you expect to be able to keep that contract. And Jack Wilshere's come in with something controversial, said especially if it's your best player. So obviously, Bakary Sagna, I think you said as well, Shaheen, Bakary Sagna's come out saying something about it as well. So the players are getting involved now. And for me, it's a difficult one because we all know what Turkish thinks with regards to from a footballing perspective. And to some extent, I'll probably have to agree. But then you can look at some of the players like you've mentioned, Shaheen, and question, really, is he not good enough to get in ahead of like certain players? And then if you look at what Xhaka's done to the fan base in the past, but he's been okay. So I wanted to throw something a bit more detailed and different across to you guys because I don't think anyone's actually looked into it from this angle. So I'm going to give you something a little bit different. So I think, Shaheen, you've got it. So this is an article I found from Reuters. Now, this isn't some two-bob outfit. This is Reuters. All right, they provide financial information for most of the media outlets out there, and most of them subscribe to their information as well. So this is serious stuff here, guys. Right, and the heading is clubs unlikely to bite the Chinese hand that feeds. Now, what it's basically saying is Arsenal's decision to distance the club from the midfielder Mesut Ozil's criticism of China's policy towards the Muslims, Uyghurs or Uyghurs, however you want to pronounce it, minority, won't surprise anyone familiar with the scramble by Europe's soccer powers for a slice of the expanding Chinese market. So basically what it's saying is China have increasingly more and more power and involvement and influence over the Premier League. I'll tell you what it says here. China is now the English Premier League's most lucrative overseas market. They basically are paying £564 million for 3-year deal to have the rights to screen Premier League games. They're also doing that in Italy and Spain and Germany. They've all pocketed big deals. Then you've got Wolves, for example, 100% owned by Chinese. Then you've got Man City, who have recently sold 13% of the club to a Chinese investment company. Now, moving on from that, right, they use a consultancy in Shanghai called Mailman. And their sole purpose is to track social media and digital engagement. All right. So they really analytic. They look at this. The Chinese are very, very analytic. Right. And basically what they establish is Arsenal are the 7th most followed European club on China's equivalent of Twitter, which is called Weibo. They don't have a Twitter. Also, they've looked into it using the analytics and found out that Ozil was rated 5th most influential player on social media. I mean, look at how many things he spans across. He's a German international. His parents are from Turkey, or Turkish origins. He's Muslim. He's also been seen sort of liaising with Erdogan, the president, and all that sort of thing. So he's very influential on social media, the 5th most influential person on social media. I didn't know that. Now, what it basically is suggesting is because of his comments with regards to the Uyghur Muslims, which was warriors who resist persecution, this has caused a problem. And what happened not long after that, funnily enough, is the Arsenal Man City game was pulled from broadcast in China. Now, what it's suggesting is because of the influence the Chinese are having over the Premier League, this is causing a problem from within because it's worth a lot of money to Arsenal and most of the other Premier League clubs. Now, to give you some info to back that up, a year before that, in the NBA, Houston Rockets, right? Massive, it's a massive league, basketball league. The general manager there was Daryl Morey, made a comment supporting the protesters in Hong Kong. Not long after, the very same thing happened. They refused to air NBA games, especially involving Houston Rockets, and it's cost them financially, it's cost them dearly, and basically he's recently had to step down because of it. The final thing it actually says is Arsenal does not need to endorse Ozil's comments, which is fair enough, but it must be aware that it is at risk of being a tool of Chinese censorship if it subsequently punishes him for his views. So this is Reuters, guys. This is some serious news here. So what do you guys think of that? Turkish, you've heard what I'm about to say. What do you think now you've heard, a little bit more in depth about it?
The original comments about China and the Muslim and the issues going on over there, first and foremost, I respect it a lot. I rate it a lot, for someone in the public eye to take that risk to come out and talk about such an issue, a sensitive subject all across the world for many people. I only wish more and more people would be like that in the public eye. And then we might get a bit more clarity into why the world is such a fucked up place, That's on one hand. On the other hand, he was still starting games for us and playing games for us following these comments. From Jetway, he made the comments mid-December and he was still playing for us January to March, If I'm going to lean onto anything as the primary reason, it'll probably be the pay cut issue and some things happening behind the scenes then, because that's when it really changed between April and June and the return of the Premier League. With the Chinese comments, it's easy to look back on it and, paint a picture and say it is because of that. I'm not saying it isn't, but if he was dropped around the time of the comments, then I might be able to link it up a bit more. And people have said in reply to that maybe the broadcasters pulling out didn't affect the bottom line until a few months later, and that's when they saw the full impact financially. But they would have known the impact financially. There's people being paid however many millions to do these things behind the scenes. If Arsenal Football Club don't know what's happening financially, then God knows. So that risk was there anyway. At the end of the day, there's a lot of things that have resulted in where we are at the moment, and it's hard because as much as I try and talk about Mesut Ozil from a footballing perspective, these other things always come into it, always. Like, it doesn't seem like I can talk about his performances on the pitch without hearing about the work he does off the pitch. People can't really separate the two out, and that's, in my opinion, you have to separate the two because one, we are fans of a football club that haven't been achieving what we've needed to achieve in the past 4, 5, 6 years and more. Yeah, but that's with Ozil. And on the other hand, we are humans. We are people that want the best for civilization and the human race. Like, we can talk about it on one hand, and I can agree with Messi all day long, and love him for it. But on the other hand, I can disagree with people all day long on Ozil because on the footballing side of things, he hasn't lived up to his reputation. He hasn't lived up to his price tag, and by that I mean wages. And we're ended up in a situation now where he's held us back as a club. In the last couple of seasons, we've been told we can only loan players in January, or we can't even afford a manager because of our wage structure. And you look at the top of that wage structure, and it's him, and he's dug his heels in as much as the club have. The two wrongs don't make a right, but the club are wrong and Ozil's wrong. And it's just looking like it's going to end in turmoil come July.
You know what?
Well, I mean,
you say that, but do you think it warrants? I agree with what you said, by the way, with everything that you said, right? But do you think it warrants that sort of behavior from Arsenal Football Club, from a club that, proud that, they've got this proud saying that when Arsenal knock is a different knock. We're oozing with class and we're this, we're that, and the other. Do you think it warrants that sort of freezing out a player for the reasons that you said, or is that a bit too much?
Well, that whole class bullshit went down the pan a long time ago. We haven't been a classy club since we left Highbury, in my opinion. We've been taken over by people that lack a class in abundance. So this whole classy thing, it's only used to protect them. In essence, we've done so many things over the years that stink of the opposite of classy that I can't associate that word with Arsenal Football Club no more. So for me, it's just the pinnacle of years of mismanagement, years of neglect, years of lack of due diligence and care coming to a forefront. And July, as much as July is the end of Ozil's contract, is the month we can finally turn a corner. About 800k is coming off in wages. We've been told for so long that wages and that are the issue at Arsenal Football Club. Yeah, so as much as people might be sad that this is happening to Ozil right now, if you are Arsenal fans, you can also look around the corner and know July 2021, our wage bill cleaned. So let's make sure we do manage it properly moving forward now and not make the same mistakes we made. But this whole classy stuff, Shaheen, we lost that class when Kroenke took over.
I agree with you. We lost the club. I'm just saying this is what the club are saying about themselves. So this is what people like Edu and they come out when Arsenal knock as a different. I agree with you in terms of the class thing, what you're saying. I'm just saying from a club's point of view, when they say these things about themselves, it doesn't. Is that the same sort of attitude or behavior you have towards one of your players, freezing him out like this for whatever reason? Could you not have done this a bit on a down low, if you like, in-house? Because this become really a public issue. And any way that you really go down and try to understand it, it comes back on Arsenal. So I'm just thinking, do you think it's a bit too much what they've done?
I think the club realized 2 years ago, that we made a mistake with Ozil's contract. When Emery come in and Emery started utilizing him less and less, you could kind of see that the future lies without Mesut Ozil. And I think around them times, we probably did as a club, have conversations about moving him on. We probably knew that to move him on, he's going to have to take a pay cut. He's going to have to go to a club that's not willing to pay him as much. It might not be as high profile. And it looks like with these things, Ozil dug his heels in and said, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to stay. I signed the contract. I remain loyal. I love North London. Hence, you hear the quotes coming out over the years. So it was pretty much, you know what, he put up a barrier and there's nothing the club could do about it. And it just became a tit for tat. And since then, it's just been tit for tat all the way up until now.
I agree with you, but there's a few people in the comments, they put in something which is quite interesting. I'm just going to put one of them on. Apparently, Arteta has come out just on a press conference. And then he's claimed he's taken responsibility that this is his decision for Mesut Ozil being left out, which, I mean, my first reaction would be, it doesn't sit right with me, because how can you decide that he's not good enough, but then other players are keep playing week in, week out? And again, I think I'll stick to my original point that this is not really a footballing decision. If Arteta, again, for me, is he being told that he can't play it, and then he's done a Wenger move, which he's come out and he's taken it on me to protect other people? I don't know what your thoughts are on this.
You know, post-lockdown, he didn't play a minute of football. So coming into summer, he should have known kind of what's to come. Now, with other players like Xhaka and Bellerin, I've been as vocal about them, if not more so, in the past couple of years. So people that think I might have an agenda against Ozil or not, there's many players at this club that I know need to move on. But if the club are feeding me a narrative that we haven't got money and our wage structure is fucked, then as a fan, I'm going to have to do what I shouldn't have to do and start looking into financials. I shouldn't need to know about financials at the club. I should just want to support the club for the 90 minutes every week or a couple times a week. But I have to look into that because you guys keep on telling me that we either got no money or we're lacking money or this and that. You're telling us one thing and we're doing another or going the other way. So with Bellerin, Xhaka, they don't have that much. Well, they have an impact on the wage bill and the wage structure, but it's not as immediate of a worry as Ozil is. Emery come in and Emery couldn't really do much. His hands are tied behind his back. The board probably told him, listen, our wages are fucked, mate. Ozil's on 350k. These players are on this. Like, if you want to work and maneuver, you're going to have to maybe move on from Ozil and try to get rid of him. Same way for Arteta as well. It seems like if they really want to fix the problems at this club and turn around the good transfer window, he is key to that. Mesut Ozil is key to that. We'll see this summer. When Ozil leaves, if we don't bring in a star man, then we'll know a bit more about where the future lies and the direction lies post Ozil. But if Ozil goes in July and then we get Hassan Mawar 3 weeks later, then we go get another player 2 weeks later, and then we go get another player 2 weeks later, which is what we should do. Who cares what happened to Mesut Ozil? In all honesty, I wouldn't, because finally we get to fix the problems at the club.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Right, let me say something, Shaheen. Let me say something, Shaheen.
Unfortunately,
Wait. Let me say something. I'm going to say something here, right? Because we like to have a healthy debate here. It's not about agreeing with each other. Right? You know, this isn't what. Personally, I'm not saying from a footballing perspective he isn't on the wane, and he doesn't probably, you know, long term he doesn't fit the way Arteta wants to play, and the sort of style and the amount of running he expects and the tracking down, you know, and all that sort of thing. I'm in agreement with that up to a point. I am not in agreement that you can't find 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, or certain games you're paying a man so much to you can't tell me a guy of his quality cannot like get games or get minutes here or there, right? I am certain in my own heart, and I could be wrong, but you know, this is who I am. That there's more to this. It's a football related matter. I think it comes from much higher than Arteta. Arteta is going to say these sort of things. You know, at the end of the day, part of being a manager nowadays is to manage these sort of things and manage it out of the club. I mean, if you've watched the All or Nothing with Spurs and all of that sort of thing, I don't really want to mention them, but there's more to a manager than just coaching on the field. They've got to manage in-house as well what's happening. The thing for me is, if you saw the game yesterday with United, one of their players came out straight after on his own Insta or Twitter, I think it was, and he was talking about the atrocities that's going on in Nigeria right now. There's been no issues made of that. The club hasn't, as far as I'm aware. I don't think United have come out and said, "Oh, we're not getting involved in the politics and all this sort of thing." There's been no blowback from that. So for me, I don't want to bring religion into it. All that. I'm more concerned that it's setting a precedent long term that if an outside influence can turn around and say, if this guy, and this is where I'm going with it, if you play this guy, it's going to cost you. We're not going to screen your games. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. And it's been proven that they have done that twice. Once in the NBA, now potentially here. If you set that precedent, you start to lose a grip of your own game. There is already talks about a European game as well. The fans are slowly being pushed out. It sets a huge precedent. So for me, I'm convinced there's more than it's not a footballing decision, and that's where I lie with it. And there's a lot of comments in here, people saying we're making it about religion, or that Shaheen's talking from an emotional place, religious wise. Let me tell you something. I've seen Shaheen go out for drinks. Unless they're making halal whiskey, he's not that religious. So that's where I'm going with this. Yeah. So I mean, keep it coming. I like this debate, and anyone in the chats, keep it coming. Shaheen, now you can say what you want to say, bro.
I was just going to say, let's not forget that all of this problem has been created by a panic move from the club. When we lost Sanchez, they panicked. They gave Ozil this contract, and we're now stuck with it. Nobody can buy him because he's got a high salary. He's now in a position where he says, "I'm just going to sit, and you don't want to pay me. It's cool. I'm just going to come train, collect my salary." And Arsenal again, as Turkish said earlier, mismanagement. And just carelessness, you've given a contract out of desperation to a guy, and now we're all stuck. And some of the fans are beating Ozil with that contract now. How can you be on this much? And it's not his choice, but ultimately he goes back to a desperate move in the club at the time.
Do you think it's a media spin to justify their actions? A media spin to say it's because he's greedy. He's 350 grand a week. We asked him for a pay cut during the COVID pandemic. There's rumors that he asked what was being done with this money, and they didn't tell him clear enough. I mean, this is a man that's not for charity, so I don't think he's that greedy. But do you think this could be a media spin as well, Turkish?
A media spin in what sense do you mean? As in Ozil's being greedy in this sense?
Well, they had to justify why they're not playing the man. Right now, we're talking about a club that, let's be honest, they've been very tight with their money until recently, and then they've obviously been a little bit sort of wayward with it of late. But in order to justify, say for example, this theory was correct, they would have to justify it another way. They couldn't come out and say, "Oh, we can't play him because they won't screen the games in China and the broadcast and this, that, and the other." So they would have had to figure out a way of justifying why we're not playing the man, because everyone's asking the question. So would it not be easy to turn around and say, "Look, we've asked him for a pay cut. He's not taking it. He doesn't fit the way we play. He hasn't been playing that well." I mean, as you rightly said, they were playing him until just before. He was sort of playing around the December mark. He was playing half decent. It wasn't as bad as some players. So that's what I'm saying. Do you think it could be a clever spin to make everyone turn against him so it's easier to usher him out?
Don't know, man. Ozil's been a debate for longer than these issues have been around in terms of the Chinese issue and whatnot, And it's short-sighted now that fans think it's because of these things, when in reality, he was being dropped 2 years ago before all of these things. His place in the team was up for debate 2 years ago before all these things. Since all these things have happened, it's just made it a game between the club and the player. That's all it's changed it to. Initially, the root of the problem now, I believe the root was that Arsenal wanted to move on from Ozil 2 years ago because of the wage structure, because of remember when Josh Kroenke said we've got a Champions League wage bill on a Europa League budget? How much of that was with Ozil's contract in mind? A lot. Probably, because if you're paying a man that much money, which at the time was maybe, I think, top 2 or top 3 in the Premier League, how the fuck are you finishing 6th, then 8th? It's not sustainable. So obviously, it seems like that was the route, that we wanted to move on from him. Ozil dug his heels in. That was the root of it. And since then, little things like these have come out that have allowed chess moves to take place. And in the battle of chess, Ozil is winning that. And his PR team is winning that. He's won that from day one. that PR online social media battle from all the way in January when Emery was manager and he pulled out that Bergkamp quote. That was a chess move. You know, the beginning of this season when on Twitter he said, "I'm fit and healthy, but I don't pick the team." That's a chess move. And that, to me, I haven't seen Arteta's press conference, but if Arteta came out today and said it's on him, yeah, regardless of whether it really is on him or whether he's been told to do it, the nail in the coffin was when Ozil went on Twitter and said, "I am fit, but it's not me who picks the team." Because if I'm manager, I'm looking at that and being like, "Oh, all right then, mate. You're trying to stick it on me online, so all your followers put all the pressure on me. I ain't budging." You know, and if anything, I'm closing that door now. Because Ozil did start a couple of preseason games, didn't he? Or one, or he started a preseason game. So if he was completely out of sight, out of mind, then he wouldn't have played. But when he made those comments, it was like, all right, this ain't club versus man no more. It's the manager versus Ozil too. And Ozil started that, you know?
Well, look, I want to put this matter to a close very quickly, but I'll let you say your last bit, Shaheen, because I don't want to go on about Ozil all day. But go on.
I agree with Turkish. You know, Mesut Ozil has given us some wonderful moments at the Emirates. He's also given us some very, very frustrating moments. There has been times where we're singing his praises, and there's been times where we're all saying he didn't do enough. He wasn't putting a shift in. He's not playing for the badge. His body language, this and that, and that is fine. At the end of the day, I understand the footballing reasons that he's been slowly pushed out of the team, and I can understand why. My point is that reason doesn't warrant the treatment that he's getting now. At the end of the day, if he goes in July, we'll say, right, Mesut, thank you very much for the wonderful memories that you've given us. All the best. He moves on. Arsenal moves on, move forward. It's just a treatment. I don't think the reasons warrant that sort of treatment. That's my point.
Okay. All right. Well, look, we'll put this Ozil matter to bed because we could talk about it all day long, and it's just going to go round and round in circles. But look, it is what it is. He's not going to be playing. I think you're right in what you're saying, Turkish. At the end of the day, look, hopefully we'll put it to bed in the new season, in the summer window, and then we can start looking, hopefully, to see what they're going to do with that money that they're saving. That's going to be the real telling point. But we're going to move it on now because we want to start talking about the club itself and the team and all that. So the Man City game, we all witnessed it recently. You've watched it, I'm sure, Turkish, and we all watched it. Lost 1-0 away. It was a strange, the lineup. I wanted to look at the lineup first before we sort of start talking about the game. So you had Leno, Bellerin, Gabriel. You had Luiz because Holding sort of got injured during the warm-up, and Tierney. And then he's gone with Ceballos, Xhaka, and Saka, sorry. And then you got Pepe and Uba or Aubameyang on the left. And then he's gone with Willian down the middle, which is a subject that's been sort of, looking at. So these are the sort of things here. Like, should he have started Partey? What was he thinking playing Willian down the middle? And how do you think that's affected it? Now, before we go into it, I want you to look at the stats. Against City, in the last 10 games, we haven't beaten them. And they've beaten us in the last 7 in a row. We haven't gone in a losing streak like that. 7 losses in a row to one side since 74 to 77 against Ipswich. So clearly City in the Premier League, I'm talking about here, have got our number. And Sterling himself is constantly causing us problems because in the last 5 goals have been scored against us in all competitions. 4 goals were with him and 1 assist. So you saw the game, guys. What do you think of the lineup? What were your thoughts when you saw it? And how do you think it affected the game and what could have been done differently? Turkish.
Yeah, Thomas Partey should have started. I think there's no doubt about whether he's ready. He's a seasoned international. He's experienced. He's 27 years of age. He played for Ghana. He played for Atletico. He was fit and ready. I think he should have started, but I understand why he didn't. It's an easy excuse to leave a man out for the first game and say, you need to bed him in a little bit. But I do expect him to start the second. Willian up top. The only reason at the start of the game that I said, all right, Arteta, all right, Partey's not starting, but Oba's up top. because on paper it looked like Oba would be up top. But as soon as the game started and you saw Willian there, it just didn't make sense. And it wasn't working either. It wasn't working 10 minutes in, 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in. It was too lethargic, too stiff. I understand why he was trying it, and that's why I won't be overcritical of it.
Tell me why you think he was starting Willian down the middle. I'd like to hear it, mate.
Well, Oba is our best outlet in terms of goals, and Pepe is probably our best outlet in terms of dribbling and getting at defenders. And if you play that false nine in between who can drop and play them both in, then you might have a well-oiled system. Now, all of a sudden, flipping to that out of nowhere probably didn't bode well. That's what didn't work out for us. I understand what he tried to do. It's just that Pepe hasn't been consistently in this team. So then to throw him in the team against Man City away, coupled up with Willian up top, who he's never played with like that in that position, there was a lot of new things going on at the same time. Once again, I said it on AFTV, Arteta overcomplicated things, and it's still a poor team. And I feel that was part of Emery's downfall. He overcomplicated things with poor players, and in the end, it worked for a little bit, but in the end, it became, a bit blunt, a bit stale. And I hope the same doesn't happen with Arteta, because he has got a lot more vision and direction. But if we don't realize that, again, we might as well get used to that, Lev and Shaheen, because that's what's going to be this season. West Ham, Sheffield United, for example, we was under the cosh at parts of that game. Second half, they had more shots than us than we did. That's the performances we're going to have to get used to, because Partey doesn't solve everything, So Arteta, definitely, that was the first time I was disappointed in a team selection and an approach so far under his leadership. But it's not the be all and end all, because, as you know, we should have done more.
Shaheen?
Yeah, I think this one is on Mikel Arteta, unfortunately. We have praised Arteta in the past for the performances and results, and we can criticize as well. Criticizing, I actually want to make this point here. Criticizing the manager for his performance on the day is not negative. It's not being against the club. It's not having an agenda, and it's not supporting the club. Because you can criticize the manager on the day and you can praise him on the day based on what happens. Football is a result-based business, and the result at the end of the show. However, criticizing the manager from day one, before he's even had his first game, that is a problem. That is not being supportive of the club. That is not being true to the cause, if you like. I see some, I don't want to name names or anything like that, but I see some Arsenal-related channels and podcasts that these guys, from day one, they've been on Arteta's case without even having anything. They claim that he's not good enough for Arsenal because they want more for the club. They're passionate about the club, and they want the club to do well. They've been Arsenal supporters for a long time. Couple of days later, they do a watch-along for Tottenham game. I don't understand that. So then you have to question why the agenda against the manager when your action doesn't really reflect on that. Going back on Man City game, I think he got it wrong. I don't see why Thomas Partey couldn't start. He's fit. There is no two other people I would rather have in the podcast than you two to say how far is Istanbul from London. It's not really a big, it's not a 15-hour flight. He probably have come on a private jet. Nice, next day go on the training. So it's not that element of jet lag involved. Thomas Torreira made his full debut with Atletico. Lacazette has done well so far. 3 goals in 3 games. Don't understand why he couldn't play. I was also thinking that Aubameyang is going to play on top with Willian, and I didn't understand the team sheet. And he got it wrong, unfortunately, and that was the result. So we could see what happened. That was one of my points, that it seems to be some players that start week in, week out, regardless of the performances, and some players like Lacazette, they get dropped for somebody. If I was Lacazette and then Willian came and played that position, I would be thinking, this manager has no faith in me whatsoever. Hector Bellerin has put in a few poor performances. I think last time we touched base on it. For a right back to get a foul throw in twice on a game, and then he starts again and again. and he didn't play well. Aubameyang had a poor game. Willian had a poor game. I didn't understand why you bring Thomas Partey with 8 minutes to go. Like, what is he going to do?
That didn't make sense to me at all.
So Arteta, I hope he learned from it, and it doesn't happen again, because this has happened before. I thought we could have gone in and put it on Man City a little bit more. Challenge them a bit more, maybe attack them a bit more. We've gone in, and I thought we went in with an ideology of let's not get battered out here. That's what I thought. Whereas maybe we could have laid it on.
Do you think he's doing that quite a lot? He's doing that quite a lot at the moment, isn't he? Do you think his mentality is to try and keep it solid at the back first, build from the back? Because that's what a lot of managers tend to do, isn't it? They come in, they build from the back.
Yeah, you do that, Lev. If you don't have the confidence on your team to do what you want them to do, and if that's the case, why it wasn't addressed in January? If you go and sign a player, you triggered his release clause. Why wasn't it done earlier so he could have started this game? Right? Yeah. If you want to, blend them in nicely and all that. If you want to try a tactic like this, do it. And again, Man City, they're not really at their best. Aguero is half fit. Go out there, and then if you go out there and you put in the effort, play expansive football, we get beat. Us fans will be, we went in there, we tried, we played good football, we got beat. All right, we move on. But to go over there, when you got opportunity, just lay a bit more. Look, Aubameyang was effectively marked out of the game. I think Kyle Walker, he was played in a back three, and I think his job was just to cover the runs, all the through balls for Aubameyang, just make sure you can. So nothing was done about that until very late on in the game. It was quite easy to see, but again, nothing was done about it. So that was my issue again. I think it was on Arteta. I hope he learns from it, and we'll move on. But there's not much else we can do.
See, for me, I expected Partey to play, and I wanted him to play. I think it would have made a big difference. And the problem we tend to have against these sort of sides is ball retention and transition from when we get the ball, right? And in the first half, we didn't do too bad. And you could argue we should have scored. Saka should have scored. Maybe you could say. Aubameyang had a chance. The goalie came out. Ederson come out very, very quickly. Turkish, I'm going to say this to you as well. We were talking the last time on the last show about Bellerin, and you suggested he was at fault, maybe potentially for all three. I was saying two, right? The goal that they scored against us, he allowed Foden to cut in and get that shot in. You could argue again it's come from there. You could also say, some will say Leno parried it out. But again, it's Sterling scoring. And then you had the talk point as well with Kyle Walker's kick on the head with Gabriel. Was that a penalty in your opinions? And the other thing I will say is this Aubameyang thing out on the left. Is it really working? Some are saying, look, he's got his contract now. He's winding down a little bit. I don't agree with that. What do you think of those sort of areas that I've just thrown at you, Turkish?
I think Bellerin definitely takes the most blame for that goal, but it's a common problem, man. Again, another big away game again, and we got to remember Arteta's a new manager. He's not even a year into being a manager yet. He's just about coming up to that year, so he's still learning on the go, and he's learning on the go with players that have continuously let their manager down year after year. Xhaka, Bellerin. These players under Wenger, under Emery, and now under Arteta will do the same, And Bellerin closing down has been an issue of his for years now. He's been too tentative. It's like he's nervous to close down and make the tackle, and that was part of the problem for that goal. He was way too far. There was 2 yards between him and Foden. I wouldn't even say Foden done him. It was more Bellerin done himself by running past. Foden didn't have to do much but bring it onto his right foot. Aside from that, it was pretty much happy days and a shot on target. Leno holds some blame for the parry into Sterling, and Ceballos holds some blame for trying to cut it out instinctively, I must add, that allowed Aguero to get away in the middle. So there's the
initial pass you're talking about?
Yeah, he tried to cut it out and be smart, if you do it, it looks good, and you start a counter. But if you don't, you expose a bit of space, and Aguero running into it with Foden and Sterling either way, you're into trouble. So there's a few players you can blame, but Bellerin by far is is the worst culprit of the lot in that situation. Regarding other situations, it was a penalty. The foot was so high. It just didn't make sense why it wasn't given. I can't dwell on it because we didn't do enough in that game for me to warrant anything. And we did miss a couple chances we should have buried. Saka should have scored. Oba should have scored. And on another day, you get them in and it looks like another masterclass. You get a 2-1 away victory and it looks good again. But obviously when it doesn't go your way and you don't nick them goals and you don't utilize the few moments of possession you have, it looks like you've got it completely wrong. And one thing I need to add is, regardless of, I would have chosen a different team and formation. I think, Lev, you would have, and Shaheen, you've already alluded to it.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think any of us can say hand on heart, if we had our choice, we would have won or we would have got something from that game. I think because of the pool of talent we have in the squad, whatever formation and 11 you pick, you're going in as the underdogs and you're going in on the back foot. There's not much we can do to say, all right, if he done this, we would have won. If he done this, we would have done this, because we haven't fixed enough yet for us to warrant that sort of hope in Partey maybe starting and changing stuff. One man won't do it.
I just think.
Go on.
Sorry, man. Sorry, Lev.
No, go on. No, go on. I'll let you talk.
I think the signing of Willian has disrupted the front three situation that we have. I know. What's his name? Pepe hasn't been consistent enough, but I just think sometimes we're changing things just to accommodate Willian, and I don't understand it. How he started that game. If you want to start Pepe, it's either Pepe or Willian for me. If you want to play Aubameyang on the left, then you play Pepe on the right, Lacazette on top, or you play Aubameyang on top, Willian on left, and the thing on right, Pepe. So sometimes I just feel, and apart from the first game, Fulham, Willian hasn't really done a lot to warrant a starting lineup every game. And I don't know what you guys think about this. I just think sometimes we're changing too much just to accommodate him in the lineup.
Yeah, we are. Willian was never the answer. Sorry, Lev.
See, this is it, guys. Like, that's all right, bro. So no problem at all. There is potentially the thing that he's trying to be over smart because he's learned a lot under Pep, but then he doesn't maybe have the personnel to be able to do some of these things. I'm in agreement with Shaheen and probably Turkish. You think the same thing. I don't understand. You got strikers. It's not like you don't have strikers. You got Lacazette. You got Aubameyang. I don't agree with playing Aubameyang out wide. Makes no sense to me. You seem like you've got. I thought he was getting Willian in because he's a winger. Maybe then he can get a bit more service in the box. These things don't make sense. But at the same time, he's learning on the job. Right, so he's gonna make mistakes. Any one of us, if we did a new job, you're gonna make mistakes along the way. It's more about him learning from those mistakes. What I don't understand is the fan base. You look at some of these accounts, and it's Arteta out already. Some are calling Arteta a fraudster and all this stuff. But then, if you want to look at it differently and a bit more positively, you've got clubs that are far more settled as squads. Spurs, City. United to some extent, although they've bought some more. Chelsea a lesser extent because they've had to bed in 3 or 4 new straight off the bat. But most of these outside of United have got far more experienced managers than Arteta, and he's above them. You're on 9 points. He's not done that bad. So why are some of these fans chucking out Arteta out and he's a fraud and he's not right for the club? Is it just follows? I don't know, but. Shaheen, go on. I'm sure you got plenty to say on the matter. And also, guys, there's a lot of people in the chat we need to look at. So when you're done, Shaheen, we'll look at some of the chats as well.
Do you want to do that first and then we'll speak about this? Or
yeah, all right, we'll do that first. I mean, some of these might have missed the intro. So if you want to drop the intro again for them to see it, it's up to you as well. I know you love that intro. And then we'll go through some of the chats in the group.
All right. Just for you, Lev, because you love this and you asked about this too much, yeah?
Thomas! It's up to Thomas!
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira!
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it!
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Champions.
Just for you, Lev.
The budget's being raised by a few quid by Shaheen. Let's go through some of the comments. Some of the comments in the chat. I don't want to leave some of these guys out, and a lot of these are our regulars. So, Shaheen, do you want to pick out a few, please? Okay, so yes, why not Sentiment FC? Welcome back. Good to see you, bro. For the City goal, I would place a little responsibility to Tierney and Saka not tracking back well enough. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to look at that again. What else have we got? Old school Gooner, another regular. I really think Artery. I hopefully don't have a heart attack. I really think Artery is the right man for the job. I just think we have to man poor players, and it will take time to get the quality in. Yeah, you're right. I mean, his squad initially, he's inherited it, and he's having to slowly bed things out, and he's also inherited this problem with Ozil and all these other deadwood that he has to try and get rid of. So logically, we do have to give him a season or so and a couple of windows. Old school Gooner, love the intro and memories. Thank you very much. Keep them coming in, guys. Keep them coming in. So look, the City game, we know what's happened there. We're hopeful. Look, we've got to put things into perspective. They're the two best teams in the league. What my concern is, those two teams that have beaten us, Bellerin was heavily at fault in those games. Have they found a weakness there? Do they think, he is a weakness? That is a concern for me. But it will come out in the wash over the coming weeks how we perform against the other teams. But look, I don't know if I want to talk about it, but we got Europa. It's coming up tomorrow against Rapid Vienna. They're currently second in the league in Austria. I'm not going to profess to know a lot about Austrian football, guys. I'll be lying to you. So if anyone does know anything about it, then let me know. But look, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow, guys? I don't want to spend too much time on it. It's not the most interesting subject for me. But what do you think he's going to do tomorrow? Is he going to go with a heavily strong team? Is he going to drop Partey in there? Or is he going to wait for Partey for Leicester game, which is more important in my opinion? What sort of team do you think he's going to put out tomorrow, guys? Turkish.
Well, he ain't starting Ozil, is he? That's for sure.
You sure?
He's gonna have to put out a young team. I expect to see the Reece Nelsons, the Joe Willocks, maybe Emil Smith Rowe. If is he back? Is he fit? I don't know.
I'd love to see him. I rate him. I'd love to see him. I'd rate him more than the Willocks and all of these guys. If you gave me a choice, I want to see him.
Definitely. So I want to see the youngsters in terms of experience. You might as well put Partey in there. It should be light work for him in the middle tomorrow. Maybe figure out the best combination, maybe partner him up with someone that you see moving into the Leicester game potentially as his long-term partner, maybe short-term, depending on if it's Ceballos, because Ceballos is not an Arsenal player through and through yet. Defensively, we've got to protect Gabriel, I think. I'm not a fan of chopping and changing all the time, but we've got to protect Gabriel, so I wouldn't start Gabriel. I wouldn't start Tierney either. So I'd protect a couple of our top defenders. I'd start Runnison in goal. Yeah, I think regardless, it should be 6 wins out of 6 in this Europa League campaign.
So if he doesn't play those defenders, who's he go with? Because obviously Holding's out. Is Mari available, or is he going to go with a few others? I mean, what does he do?
True. So who have we got left? We've got Louise left. So you'd put Louise there.
I think Louise has travelled. Partey has travelled.
Kolasinac.
Yeah. Holding it good. Cedric Suarez.
Oh, yeah. Cedric there as well.
Yeah.
So, there's a few there that we can work with, It's Rapid Vienna at the end of the day. It's just about getting the job done. I don't think you're going to take much from it. And I find it funny over the years how someone might just bang 2 goals against a dead Europa League team, and then everyone thinks they're the second coming of Thierry Henry or something. Now, these Europa League games, all right, it's decent experience, but we're not going to see much. Obviously, Saka did come on the scene in the Europa League, and I noticed him there earlier on than others, but it's rare, getting a Saka is rare. So I just think it's get the job done, play the fringe players, and keep it moving.
Shaheen, I know your extensive football knowledge. Hit me.
No. Obviously, these boys have travelled already. I think they're going to play. It's I wouldn't say it's a pointless game, but it's a game that Arsenal should win. Even with the youngsters. I I'll be interested to see the new keeper, what he's like, if he plays. I think probably Nketiah will start, and I think, yeah, he will probably save Gabriel. I think Mare is out till November, so he's not.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think he's back. But the right, Reece Nelson's, Smith Rose, Kolasinac, Cedric, I think that they will get a game out. Would have been a good game for Ozil to get a run out as well. Maybe Socrates as well. Could do the centre back now. Mustafi, I don't know if he's injured or not.
I think he's injured. I was trying to search it now, but I think he's injured. I should have watched the press conference.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think we got any centre back.
But I think it's going to be. But just going back to the point that you said earlier, with some accounts calling out for Arteta that he's this, that, the other. I think these are the same accounts that some of them, they just do it for attention because they just want to be different. How can you have a manager to come in and from day one you're against the guy? Give him a chance. He's in now. Yes, he makes mistakes. As Turkish said, it's his first job as a manager. Of course he's going to make mistakes, but it's not going to help him us bashing, and calling out. Yes, we'll call out when it's a mistake. We'll give him praise. We'll give him criticism, but game by game, you can't be against him from day one. You just got to give him a chance to see how he goes.
Yeah, it's nonsensical. I don't understand at the moment where these guys are coming from and why they're sort of suggesting he's a fraud and he's not good enough and all of this stuff. But then at the same time, the guy hasn't had a full season under his belt. He's already got some silverware, right? Albeit it's FA Cup, but there's a lot of clubs out there that would die for the FA Cup. There's a lot of so-called top teams, though them boys down the road haven't won anything recently. So I mean, I don't get it. It seems like there's an agenda. I personally believe a lot of it is just purely because these accounts thrive on negativity for their followers and their views. That's my opinion on it. But look, at the end of the day, we can go on about it all day long. I mean, is there anything else you guys want to discuss before we sort of wrap it up? Because obviously, we're coming up close to the hour mark. Shaheen, anything else you want to sort of throw at me? Any curveballs? I know you love a curveball.
No, I said what I wanted to say, and I hope Arsenal can go on. We can get a good result in Europa League, and then follow that up by a good result against Leicester, because that Leicester game is an important game now. You can't go and lose that now. So we've got to beat Leicester. It's going to be at Emirates as well. So I hope we can get the 3 points. And thank you to my brother Turkish for coming on. Anybody that has not followed Turkish, his channel, Turkish LDN, and on Twitter, first of all, get an appointment with your local GP. Why you haven't followed this guy yet, and then follow him afterwards.
Where'd you get this stuff from, man? What is that?
So yeah, bro, man's does some top shows, man. I've been watching some of his shows, man. It's good stuff. He's my brother. I can't imagine. Go follow him. It's good
improving,
stuff,
man. I can't lie. I appreciate that, man. I'm trying.
No, man, it's good stuff,
I'll tell you what. Well, listen. Firstly, everyone, Shaheen is not qualified to make these judgments. So don't start thinking you should go and see a GP now. It's a joke. But look, please, if you haven't already, subscribe, like, turn on your notifications. You guys in Facebook, in I think it's the Arsenal Lounge group and Gunner Social. If you're watching, jump across, subscribe, keep supporting us. There's going to be a lot more content coming up. We're going to be doing a lot more shows like this in the future. Hopefully, Lee will be back. Graham's going to be doing his Sunday surgeries. We've got a few other special things under Shaheen's sleeve, shall we say. But look, Turkish, brilliant, mate, coming on. I know you've been sort of at it since 2 o'clock this afternoon. So I'm sure your missus, you need to go and spend some time with your missus. Shaheen's still in his office.
I need to eat as well.
Shaheen hasn't even gone home. Shaheen's still in his office. His missus don't know where he is.
Shaheen go to the mixed grill, man. I know it's on its way.
Shaheen's got Uber Eats on the way now. That's what's going down. That's why he's in a rush. He's going like this, wrap it up like that. He's going like that to me. He's sending me texts and all sorts. But look, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again next Wednesday. Lee will be here as well, and I know that will add a little bit more spice. But look, I appreciate all your opinions, all you guys in the chats. Lily Bedford, you've just come in saying hi, everyone. Sorry, but we're going now. But please rewind, watch the show. Thank you for all your support, guys. Keep it coming. subscribe, like, notifications on. I'm Lavanja. That's Shaheen over there at the top left-hand corner. We don't even have to say who's below us over there. And look, I'm out of here. Lounge is getting shut down. Thank you, fellow loungers. Have a good evening.
Love, people. Love.
Yes.